Here is some of the news. The new Avengers Infinity War trailer made a racist remark while honoring Native American code talkers. Oh. The president made a racist, insensitive, ignorant remark? Okay. While honoring Native American code talkers.
Very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you.
In the interest of being fair and balanced, TMCR, can we also take a look at other parts of the president's speech?
Also, General Dumford, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. General, how good, here he is right there, the chief. He's the general and the chief. General Kelly, just come up for 1 second. I want to just have you say what you told me a little bit about the code talkers, because it really has been learning about you and learning about what you've done has been something that I'd like General Kelly to say to the press.
So he got excited about the word chief, called them special people, repeatedly admitted ignorance about what the code talkers do, and then pleaded with someone more informed to explain to everybody the thing that that person had just explained to him. One more time with everybody. Learning about you and learning about what you've done has been something that I'd like General Kelly to say to the press. And that's as good as that could have gone, I guess. Also, for anyone curious, that Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas thing is based around a whole lot of misinformation and false accusations of her using her heritage to get special treatment, even though applications asking if she'd like to apply for Native American or other minority programs are marked no, and that she was recruited for teaching jobs due to her popular research in bankruptcy. And even if we ignore that Pocahontas used in this manner is considered a racial slur by minorities, and specifically Native Americans, also Trump himself has been accused of lying about the exact same thing, because of course he has, when he and his father would claim Swedish heritage instead of German, so they wouldn't have problems selling to Jewish people. And sure, we could stoop to his level and make Swede references that somehow apply to him, like, hey, Trump pulled a PewDiePie, or hey, look, it's Ingmar Bergman over here, or yeah, Mr. President, you're a real Alfred Nobel. But he wouldn't get those references. So maybe we can try to do like a German person he's heard of. But darn, I can't think of anyone. But whatever, let's move on to the Avengers.
President Trump has used his Twitter account to share inflammatory videos which were posted online by the deputy leader of the far-right group, Britain First.
Nope, we can't do that, because the Integrity President just retweeted fake videos of Muslims committing violence from the Twitter account of the deputy leader of Britain First, a far-right hate group whose deputy leader is a maniac who last year was found guilty of aggravated harassment for screaming that Muslims were coming into my country, raping women across the continent. Fantastic. Is there a deflection from Sarah Huckabee we can cut to?
Regardless of the video, the threat is very real.
Perfect. All perfect things a president or a baseline decent human would do. And besides the amazing racism, what makes this so staggering is that 48 hours before posting fake news, including but not limited to accusing Joe Scarborough of murder, Trump was actually ranting about fake news, saying we should have a contest as to which of the networks, plus CNN and not including Fox, is the most dishonest, corrupt, and/or distorted in its political coverage of your favorite president, parentheses, me. They are all bad. Winner to receive the fake news trophy. Well, okay, favorite president, parentheses, you, who literally tweets anti-Muslim propaganda, lies, and then your official stance is, it doesn't matter if it's a lie, it was useful for our narrative. You want a fake news award? Let's do a fake news award. Welcome to the first annual Dishonest, Corrupt, and/or Distorted in its political coverage of your favorite president, me, awards. I'm your host here at the beautiful cracked slapdash office studio soundstage in sunny Los Angeles. And here's your fake news trophy. Before we get to the winners, let's go over the official rules, like all award shows do in the intro to the broadcast of their award shows. But anyway, here are the rules, all right? The news has to be about Trump. Gross. Special points for CNN, and Fox News is excluded. And I can only assume that final rule exists because Fox isn't qualified to be considered news, which would only make sense if, like, top of my head, a 2015 report by the, let's say, Pulitzer Prize-winning, we'll call them PolitiFact, found that only, ballpark, 40% of what they report is remotely truth-resembling. And yet, our president repeatedly tweets stories he heard from them, even when those stories turn out to be fake. Here's another example concerning a retracted story claiming FBI Director James Comey leaked classified information. Oh, and also that time they pushed a completely fabricated conspiracy theory about a major presidential candidate having a man killed. So let's imagine Fox is false about 60% of the time, according to a Pulitzer Prize-winning fact-checking publication. And so we won't include Fox. Here are the nominees. Again, we really wish we could nominate the president for this fake news trophy, simply because of how funny it is that in the very few days following his proposal to award a fake news trophy, he bragged about doing the most in 10 months of any president, claimed he was our favorite president, retweeted a bunch of fake news, and claimed to a reporter he didn't like murdered somebody. But he doesn't meet the requirements for nomination because he's not a news network, because he had to be the president instead. Sorry, buddy. So first up is CNN. You're welcome, Mr. President, who back in June falsely linked Trump team members Anthony Scaramucci to a $10 billion Russian investment fund before promptly firing the 3 employees responsible and issuing a retraction, which is the barely longer way of saying they held themselves accountable. Another example is when CNN reported Trump feeds fish, winds up pouring entire box of food into koi pond, which, funny. But that fails to mention a moment earlier when, so did he. The president's an embarrassing dope, CNN. You don't need to fake it. Second fake news nominee comes from the Washington Post, who last year took a story about a piece of malware on a laptop belonging to someone responsible for maintaining a Vermont power grid and turned it into the headline, "Russian hackers penetrated U.S. electricity grid through a utility in Vermont," before slowly deleting and changing the story in the hopes that no one would notice. We did. Now, I guess that last example doesn't actually meet Trump's fake news award standards, but it's not like his award standards or regular standards were exactly aces to begin with. But what differs from these stories and Trump's imagined fake news cabal is that the mistakes of the mainstream media aren't coming from some spankin' new sinister plot against him so much as an idiot race for breaking stories that's been going on long before the election. It was the Ebola scare, racist exaggerations about Asia, or just plain terrible journalistic standards. So, for our third nominee, let's talk about the newer, pretty disturbing brand of fake news that is social media propaganda. You know, like the Russian influence on Facebook, or some tweet of a completely fake video labeled "Muslim migrant beats up Dutch boy on crutches." Thank you, Mr. President. See, it's no secret that an increasing amount of Americans are getting their news from social media despite Facebook insisting they are not a media company. Stop it, Zuck. Don't run for president, Zuck. Anyway, this creates a situation where both sides of the political spectrum are able to make completely untrue claims with zero oversight. Oversight you might get at a place like Washington Post, winner of 59 Pulitzer Prizes. So on the left, there are Facebook groups like The Other 98%, which has over 5 million followers and a PolitiFact scorecard of pretty f***ing bad. And on the right, there's Breitbart and InfoWars, which just take mainstream news links and retells them through a conservative lens while somehow also claiming to not be mainstream news. For example, Donald Trump tweeted, "Wish the fake news would report," with a link to a conspiracy website called MAGAPill that claims to tally all of his accomplishments, even though MAGAPill is just an aggregate of those mainstream fake news sites reporting on the things he claims they aren't reporting. So, I guess, actually, according to the Trump rules for this award show, MAGAPill gets extra points for these CNN articles. Also, a lot of what they attribute to Trump are actually because of policies created before he got into office. Stories like Ben Carson conducting an audit of the Department of Housing and Urban Development that was actually started the previous year before Carson took over the department. It's just a big hoagie of clown shit that way too many people are eating, including our president. They posted a video claiming there was a sex tape of Hillary Clinton and an underage girl on Anthony Weiner's laptop. He's the president. And a hoagie of clown shit. Speaking of foodstuffs, here's a video with 500,000 views by performance artist Alex Jones's protege Paul Joseph Watson, claiming that soy products turn men into SJW soy boys.
Soy boys. He's a soy boy. 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 He's a soy boy.
He cites a study by the Journal of Human Reproduction that says that high soy intake can lower sperm count, but fails to mention the study was on animals, and the author's assertion that it's not time to worry about whether you're eating too much soy. There's not enough information to conclusively say that. He also claims that soy gives dudes man boobs, which is technically true in the sense that it's only happened to a single guy drinking 3 quarts of soy milk a day, and most studies have failed to find any substantial link. But none of that matters, because no one agreeing with the video is going to look into it any further. Which is funny, because if you do think soy is making you a breasted SJW and want to avoid it, then you might want to avoid this product as well.
Every morning before I start writing or shooting a video, I take 2 capsules of Brain Force for a sustainable burst of energy. This is, without question, the most powerful nootropic I've ever taken, and it comes without any of the crashes or the jitters associated with energy drinks. It's additive-free, nothing. He's a soy boy. He's a soy boy. He's a soy boy. He's a soy boy. He's a soy boy.
This award show has gone way off the rails, and I deeply apologize and promise to look into the problem. We wanted to do like a roundup of, like all the disingenuous, misleading thought leaders out there. Like, speaking of brain pills, animal-minded Mike Cernovich keeps claiming he didn't push the Pizzagate conspiracy or ever name the name of the pizza place that eventually got shot up by someone, even though that's demonstrably false. Or like Jack Posobiec, fake news peddler, planter of fake signs, and tweeter/deleter of the Nazi Code 1488 at least a few times. But who has time for that? Let's just move on to our winner! It's James O'Keefe, obviously. James O'Keefe is the winner. If you're not aware of that name, you might remember the story of Acorn, a community-driven organization focused on low-income housing and voter registration that was completely defunded after an undercover journalist posted a video posing as a pimp and asking Acorn representatives advice to run his illegal business. The heavily edited video started a political domino effect, leading to Acorn's bankruptcy, despite investigations actually finding no evidence of illegal activity because the video was fake. For starters, the journalist never actually wore the pimp costume into Acorn offices, but edited the tapes to appear like he did. And one of the representatives seemingly helping him conduct illegal activity had immediately called the police after he left. Anyway, this is James O'Keefe, the man who took down a low-income community assistance program by lying and then celebrated with a chillingly debasing Michael Jackson spoof music video where he attempts to sing.
What you come to know. Now we need a bit of action that will give this the traction. As a matter of faction, what you bring we can't get down.
A song he wrote and sang and paid to have made into a video meant to be seen by people. He's also been given at least $20,000 as a charitable donation from Donald, apparently still the president, Trump, and recently resurfaced in the news when he conducted an investigative sting on the Washington Post by paying a woman to pretend to be a Roy Moore child molestation and sexual assault victim in an attempt to discredit his other accusers. Instead of exposing mainstream media corruption, this stunt, you know how good journalists do stunts, actually exposed that the Post is very serious about allegations like this and very thorough in their investigating and reporting. Maybe it's why they've won 59 Pulitzers. Maybe all of these obvious attempts to discredit these women and discredit the Washington Post, like for example a fake phone call from Bernie Bernstein asking for tips on Roy Moore allegations, or a demonstrably false bullshit account starting the rumor that victims were offered thousands of dollars to come forward, a tactic used by these journalists on the right, but not by actual journalists, because that's what helps create false stories and obscure the truth. The Washington Post didn't go searching for a smear campaign against Roy Moore, or as Roy Moore literally puts it, it's a made-up attack by liberals, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, and socialists against child molesters. The Post was reporting on the race, and as they talked to people in the area, they noticed patterns and the story became clear. He was banned from the mall for harassing teens. Hey, Alabama, the election's in a few days. Please don't elect a child molester. Sorry, I didn't mean to make this award show political. Sorry, I didn't know don't elect a child molester was political. But back back to our nominee, James O'Keefe, whose ruse was exposed by the Post using a journalism trick known as basic fact-checking. This revealed a hilarious digital trail showcasing the fake victim's desire to work in conservative media, multiple contradictions to her story, and a recent Facebook job listing by O'Keefe looking for someone to adopt an alias persona, gain access to an identified person of interest, and persuade that person to reveal information. An example of this are these texts between a Project Veritas operative trying to use a Post journalist's family tragedy to set up a meeting. When the Post finally met with the fake victim, she brought a hilariously obvious purse and was forced to obviously move it when the Post reporter obstructed its obvious hidden camera's view. Luckily, the Post also filmed it, giving us this real-life SNL sketch about a profoundly credible reporter questioning a person-shaped mound of red flags.
Am I being recorded?
So, to recap, James O'Keefe attempted to plant a fake sexual assault victim in order to discredit other victims in order to elect a, again, pretty sure, child molester and sexual assaulter. And even though James's dumb sting was blown, he still released his planned bombshell hidden camera video claiming to show political bias at the Washington Post. This video included such revelations as the fact that the Post has an opinion section, an editorial board, and that Jeff Bezos of Amazon fame was the one who thought up the "Democracy Dies in Darkness" slogan, something the Washington Post reported a year ago. Great work, Keefe. And just as a side note, if you're worried that the Washington Post being owned by Bezos will prevent them from putting out unfavorable stories about Amazon, then here are a bunch of instances of them putting out unfavorable stories about Amazon. Also, Amazon sucks. It treats its workers like absolute trash because they don't have enough good robots yet to fire everybody. And now there's a bidding war between cities for its second headquarters, and some are offering wage theft, and others are offering feudalism. But again, I don't want to get political. This is Hollywood. So back to our winner, Mr. O'Keefe, who has this to say about democracy and darkness.
We think democracy dies when the media has a very biased agenda they don't reveal to the public.
He said, with no hint of self-awareness. See, this is why James O'Keefe is the winner of our very disorganized award show, because he not only has a very obvious political agenda, but he's also so hilariously bad at lying to support it. He presents himself as a hero who's fighting for the truth, no matter how many times he's caught lying, misleading, and f***ing up. But no, he will fight on, exposing the unexposable.
Project Veritas has a stone lodged between Goliath's eyes. The media wants me to kneel down and apologize. I will not. We will keep pushing. We will keep fighting. We will expose the truth because there's no one else doing it. No one else can do it. No one has the will to do it. They're out for blood, but we'll not surrender. We will never stop. Stay tuned.
And the things he does have really hurtful consequences, making it so you never really know whether to laugh or cry. Along with Acorn and that guy he got fired, his incredibly misleading video about Planned Parenthood partially inspired a man to shoot up a Planned Parenthood clinic. Wonder where else I've heard about fake news peddlers causing people to shoot places. Meanwhile, in less dangerous news, back during the election, O'Keefe put out a video proving that Hillary Clinton funded her campaign with foreign money by staging a Canadian man giving an American $75 to buy Clinton merchandise. When he proudly held a press conference about his findings, he was met with hard-hitting questions like, "Is this a joke?" And also, "Are you sure this isn't a joke?" And that's not a joke. James is the political equivalent of a Bigfoot hunter, convinced of his extreme bias but finding no actual evidence of it. So he either makes a huge deal out of nothing or just fakes it with editing. You see this in the very first ever Sting video he made, fresh out of Rutgers University, where he and his friends complain to the school that serving Lucky Charms is offensive to Irish Americans. Instead of some huge smoking gun about liberal hypocrisy, it's just a boring 6-minute video of a school official politely considering their perspective before noticing the obvious camera in the room.
Are you taping this? You shouldn't be doing that.
James then bafflingly declares the sting a success, just like he declared his embarrassing Washington Post video a success, because something in his brain is psychologically sheltering his ego from any possible shred of self-awareness or humility. Do we have a clip of that?
We need a bit of action that will give this the traction. As a matter of faction, what you bring, we can't get down.
So I guess my overall point here is, Why are we forced to know who this guy is? He's likely in need of mental assistance, and yet we've allowed him to make an actual impact on our politics. Back in 2010, he decided to prank a CNN reporter he claimed was trying to seduce him for a story by filling a boat with dildos and pornography before attempting to lure her onto it, which seems like a good time to pause and say, what the f***? Luckily, one of O'Keefe's visibly shaken female accomplices just fucking warned the CNN reporter before she got on the boat. And you would think that after this one encounter, the media would never take him seriously again. If he's a self-proclaimed journalist who also trolls people, he's just a troll. He's an unhinged individual who attempted nautical sex assault and has multiple arrests and lawsuits because of how bad he is at committing fraud. And yet the media continues to report on his videos that the president gave money to help fund. Even if you're Trump and agree with his ideology, he's objectively a bad investment, which, to be fair and balanced, never stopped Trump in the past. Anyway, I guess everyone wins the award for failing to stop giving destructive, disturbed people more power, like we're Loki handing over the Tesseract to Thanos. Ha ha! We got there. The Avengers. Yay. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. One other thing James O'Keefe did was he called somebody a mark and left a message on their machine, but forgot to hang up, and then there's 7 minutes of them like describing what they were gonna do. Also, call your senator about the tax bill. It sucks, and they suck. Bye.